Would you believe that a boxer on Mayweather's level went from making $100 million each year to losing everything overnight? This is the story of Billy Hope, a boxing champion near the end of his career. He is preparing to defend his light heavyweight world title. His wife Maureen is always close to him and is the only thing that gives him hope. During the fight against Jones, Billy is dominated and sustains an eye injury. Jones is taller and faster, but in the next round, Billy knocks him out. As soon as Billy is declared the winner, Maureen writes to their daughter Layla that her father has won. Maureen doesn't allow her to watch the fight so as not to scare her. Along with a big win, Billy gets some bad injuries and constant bleeding, which worries his wife, Maureen. Later, during the press conference, a younger, up-and-coming boxer, Miguel Escobar, asks Billy to fight him in the ring. Miguel provokes him, and after the press conference, Billy asks his manager, Jordan Maines, to arrange the fight. Jordan explains to Billy that this is not a good idea, mainly because he still has to recover from his last fight. Billy's story is very fascinating. Raised in an orphanage with his wife, he now lives in luxury in his giant mansion. The two most crucial women in his life are his wife and little Layla. After each fight, his daughter counts the wounds on his face, and this time, she realizes that there are more than usual. Later, Maureen encourages him to take a break, as she warns him, 2 more years and he'll be wasted and unable to spend time with the most important person in his life, his daughter Layla. Billy knows this is the harsh truth and decides to listen to his wife. The next day, Billy wakes up devastated. You know when you haven't worked out for a long time, and suddenly you're working out intensely? You can't move one muscle. Billy surprises his childhood friends with some fantastic gifts. 3 Cartier watches. Meanwhile, his wife is discussing business with Jordan. The manager proposes a contract for another 2 years and 3 matches for Billy for $30 million. Maureen rejects the agreement, saying Billy needs a break. Maureen and Billy are invited to a charity event for the orphanage, where he and his wife both grew up. Billy is trying to prepare a speech, but he's not very good at writing and doesn't want to tell everyone about his personal life. Billy doesn't know much outside of boxing. He is not a great public speaker, and as soon as he finishes, he leaves with his wife. In the process, Escobar calls Billy out again. Escobar insults Maureen, and Billy loses his patience, and the two fight in the hotel hall. One of Escobar's men loses his head during the scuffle and accidentally shoots Maureen.
Guys, look at me in the eyes, baby. Baby, look at me.
Billy panics while Maureen is in shock. He is trying to calm her down and minimize the wound, which turns out to be fatal, and Maureen passes away. The officers try to ask Billy if he saw anything, but he is too distraught to provide an answer. Billy and Layla are in pain, but they try to hide it from each other. One night, Billy got himself a gun and went out to find Hector, Miguel's brother, the one who killed Billy's wife. His friend, John, was waiting for him outside the door. John tried to stop him. Billy loses his mind and blames his friend for not protecting his wife. Billy goes to Hector's house, but is confronted by his junkie wife. Billy points his gun at her, asking where Hector is, but gets no answer. At the sight of the kids, Billy hides the gun and leaves. To make matters worse, the economic situation is also deteriorating. His money is ending, and Jordan suggests he sign the $30 million contract. Despite not being 100% prepared, Billy signs the contract, and after 8 weeks, we see him in the ring against Teray. During the fight, Billy is dominated more than usual. After a few strong punches from Teray, the referee stops the fight. After that, he hits the referee out of frustration. Billy is suspended for a year, which means no earnings, and Jordan advises him to sell the house. The house has emotional value to Billy, and he doesn't even want to think about it. He loses control and almost dies after crashing his car while driving drunk. Layla finds him lying on the ground in the doorway and calls for help. He wakes up in the hospital, full of blood, and begins to agitate. Billy may be endangering Layla's life and losing custody of the little girl. The little girl is placed in the care of Child Protective Services Officer Angela Rivera.
Please, I don't want to.
I'm sorry,
I don't want to.
Billy, please, Daddy.
Billy has 1 month to prove to the judge that he can regain control over his own life. A harrowing event, as the most important woman in Billy's life is taken away from him. Billy's house is emptied, his cars are confiscated, and his bank accounts are frozen. A few days later, a friend of his, John, arrived to pick him up in his car. Billy decides to try to make a new life for himself to regain custody of Layla. He approaches a gym owned by Tick, a lauded trainer. The gym is not very spacious, and Tick has stopped coaching professionals. That's why inside, we can only see teenagers. Billy needs a place to train, but Tick is not convinced that he will be able to comply with all the rules. In addition, Billy asks for a job to prove he can keep a living. Tick offers him to clean the gym, but Billy is not humble enough to take the job.
Fuck this. Yes, not that. Fuck, not fuck, yes.
As soon as he has the opportunity, Billy visits the children's home to see Layla. Each time, he has to fill out a document to prove that he is sober and has regained control of his life. Layla blames her father for everything and refuses to see him. Billy realizes that he can't go on this way and begins to change by taking a job as a cleaner. Everyone in the gym knows him as Billy the Great. He also forms a friendship with a young guy named Hoppy. While in the gym, Billy is treated with respect. Layla refuses to see him in the children's home. In the process, Billy's last opponent loses to Escobar, who becomes world champion in the light heavyweight. Billy finds Tick at a bar on the same night, although the coach said he does not drink. The coach asked how Billy ended up in this situation. His impulsiveness caused him to raise his hands in that hotel and provoke that conflict. Infuriated, he walked out of the bar, throwing his chair away. He returned to the bar shortly after that and apologized. Billy opens up to Tick, admitting that he is desperate and completely alone. Tick advises him to give his daughter time and let her hate him until she recovers from that emotional stage. Billy stops using drugs and focuses on training. He drinks, eats, and sleeps in the gym, just as he did at the beginning of his career. In this way, he manages to convince Tick to train him. With patience and dedication, Billy begins to perfect his moves from scratch, starting from a simple jab to a double jab. Thanks to a rope placed diagonally, Tick teaches him to do something that Billy missed, defending himself. After a few attempts to meet Layla, the girl finally agrees to see her father, but she still remains cold towards him. After a month, the court is still not convinced that Billy is still able to regain custody of Layla, so they put it off for another month. Billy noticed Tick in the courtroom and passed by the bar in the evening to greet him. Billy asked him about his eye. Tick was a great boxer, but his career ended when he received a blow to the eye, after which the referee stopped the fight. The injury turned out to be quite severe, so the eye had to be replaced. During a typical training session, Billy is asked to participate in a charity event. He has to fight a boxer for 8 rounds to raise money for charity. In the meantime, his relationship with his daughter is not improving. Billy tells her about his upcoming fight during a visit, and Layla asks him to take her away. Billy tries to explain that it is impossible, but the little girl is too young to understand. So, she blames her father for the whole thing.
You should have been the one that was killed. You, not Mom.
After a long time, Billy gets back in the ring and fights. Billy's friends and even his former manager Jordan are present at the charity event. He manages to win the fight, after which Jordan stops him to offer him the fight for the title against Escobar. The fight is scheduled to happen in 6 weeks in Las Vegas. Billy accepts without thinking twice, but Tick is against it. The same night, Billy finds Tick in the gym working the punching bag. Billy learns that Hoppy, a boy he befriended, has died. He tried to defend his mother from his abusive father and was shot. After that, the two spend the evening together, talking and consoling each other. Another month passes, and the court recognizes Billy's betterment, so he can regain custody of Layla. Once together, Billy and Layla visit Maureen's grave. At that moment, Layla learns about the meeting against Escobar and asks to come along. At this point, little Layla takes her mother's place. In fact, she is the only thing that gives Billy hope. For the following 6 weeks, Escobar and Billy train hard for the fight. The big night arrives, the hype is high. Escobar is sure to win, as Billy only had 6 weeks to train. Early in the fight, Miguel has the upper hand over Billy. Miguel's speed is something extraordinary. Billy is nothing more than a punching bag for 5 straight rounds. With an accurate shot, Miguel knocks Billy down and injures his eye. After round 6, Billy starts defending with his shoulder, just as Tick taught him. Billy seems to have woken up and starts to show some really effective combinations. Billy dominates over Escobar in the following rounds, and it becomes increasingly difficult to tell who will win. Towards the end of the 11th round, Escobar provokes Billy by insulting his wife. Billy is on a rampage, and Tick tries to get him to realize that he will lose if he fails to calm down. Escobar hits Billy below the belt in the last round and loses a point. In the final minute, with Tick's advice, Billy counterattacks more aggressively with his left. Escobar falls unconscious, but the round ends within seconds. Now, the decision is up to the judges. Finally, Billy Hope is declared the winner, and gets the title of World Lightweight Champion. Billy gives the belt to Tick to hang it on the gym wall. Soon after, Layla comes rushing in and tearfully hugs him, exactly as Maureen did at the end of every fight. Click here to find out how a 17-year-old teen scammed banks out of millions of dollars.